Hello, so welcome to this section. So in this section, I'm going to be taking us on Flask. So we're going to work with Flask, and if you actually look at the library I'm having here, I'm having pandas, scikit-learn, and I'm having pickles, which I'm going to use to save our model. So I just have to create just little data set here using the list convention. And if I print it out, you see that for the hour we have 6 hours, 7 hours to 9. Then for the score, that is a 60, 70, 80, 90. So I'm going to clear this. So So the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to try to load it. So after loading it, I'm going to the independent variable. This is the independent variable. Then also we're going to have the dependent variable here, which is this. Then we're going to split the data into training and testing. Then after that, we're going to create the model object. Then we're going to fit it. Then we're going to try to make our prediction. Then once we make our prediction, then also we are going to test it on some samples, though we are not really evaluating. I can just evaluate using the out square, but I'm not really okay. Let me just try to include the. So that means that I will need to save this prediction somewhere. So I'm going to call it predict pred because of this. Then I'm going to call on the out square. So I'm going to call on the out square, and for that I just need to say out to underscore score. Then I'm going to pass in the y test. uh, Then I'm also going to pass in the prediction. So I'm going to print out the result for that. So it's going to print out the R square, which is the explain variance. So if I actually run it now, which is ml.py, and I run it now, we are going to get a prediction. So you can see that the R square is actually 1. So, I just had to make this data up. So it's not really a real data set. Okay, now, so after that, so what we just need to do is that since we've trained our model. So the next thing, so let's try to pass in some samples like 10 hours, 9 hours, and so into data frame. Then let's try to predict it. So I just need to call on the Python ml.py. So if I run it now, it's going to give me the results. So that is 10 and 90. So that means this person is going to score like 100, and this person is going to score 90. So let's try to save our model somewhere. So how do we save it? Now, so what we just need to do is that we are going to use pickles for that. So you just need to say with open, then you give your model's name, which let's call it linear model, or let's have underscore here. Then you in form of pickles, which is pkl. Then you're going to um, as binary. So whenever you want to save like a um, work with stuff like except text, you're going to use a binary or models. So as let's call it model name, or let's call it a model file. I think that's better. Now let me just call it F because that's not really the initial name. So I'm just going to call on the pickles dot dump. I'm going to dump that model, which is this model that we actually create here. We've actually the model and the model parameters dot. So we are going to dump it in this F. What is F? F is actually linear model dot pickles. So this has to have F. So I'm going to run it now, which is Python ml.py. So if I run it now, you are going to see the model here. So I'm running it now. So I'm waiting for int. Okay, okay, okay. So now, if you actually look at this place, you see that we already saved it. So this is the model now. So if you actually want to load the model, let's say I want to use the model now. So let me try to comment all this code out. So if I actually want to use the model, I just need to say with open linear underscore model dot pickles, which is pkl. So I'm going to use with binary RB. So WB is for write. If you actually want to dump, then if you want to load this, you are going to use a with binary as F. So I just need to say pickles dot load F, which is the model, which stands for linear model. So I'm going to save it as model. Let's call it a model loaded. Model loaded equals to this. So if I actually want to use it now, what I just need to call a model loaded dot predate. So let's predict if someone actually read for let's say 20 hours. If someone read for 20 hours, so we're going to call on the print to get, okay, let's say the result somewhere. Results equals to this. So we actually call on print, sorry, print results. So if I run my Python now, ML, so if I run it now, I should get my results. Okay, so can you see now that it's actually 200? So the reason why it's actually bringing this there is because like I just need to put it in I need to include the feature's name there, which is the feature's name is actually ours. But you can see that I was able to load my model and I was able to make prediction of it, and it's actually 200. So if I actually pass in, let's pass in 30 hours, 40 hours, and if I call on my model now, Python ML, and I run it, I'm going to get good results. Okay, sorry, um, expecting one. Oh, sorry, I need to. That's a mistake. So I need to pass it like this because it's actually 30, 40. Sorry. Yes. So I need to play this CLS. I call on Python and I call on ml.print and I run it now. You are going to get the reason. So it's actually we are using one column, so that's why. So you can see that we have 200, we have 300, we have 400, and you can see that we were able to get the prediction for the for the um, for the models. So that is about that. So we've actually saved our model, and you've seen how I was able to load it. So I'm going to comment this out. Sorry, I'm going to comment this. So I'm going to comment this out, and I just need to save it. Okay, now. So let's create another Python file, which is for Flask. I'm going to call it app.py. So now, so for this section, we're going to be looking at how to work with Flask. And Flask is actually used to create endpoints in Python. So endpoint is actually more like application. So like to create API endpoints, and the application programming interface are just more like interface to whereby a particular program can actually communicate with another program. So we actually make use of the API to establish that relationship. So let's say, for instance, you actually develop a model and you want someone to access your model. So you can just create an API endpoint for that particular user. And what you just need to do is going to send his data to that endpoint, and the endpoint is going to process it. So that's how it actually works. So I'm going to make use of I'm going to define another function here. So just call it let's call it first. I'll call it first.py. So for this function, I'm going to have def. I'll call on create. I'll create a function there. So I just need to say So I'm going to return, or let's say I'm going to return hello. So later on, I'm going to include name there. So I'm going to save that. I'll go to my app.py. So I'm going to, so the first thing to do is that you have to install Flask. So pip install Flask. So you have to install Flask. So once you install Flask, you just need to say from Flask import so Flask. So don't forget that this one is capitalized. This one is in lowercase. So I'm going to install Flask. Then I'm going to install import. I'm going to import Flask and I'm going to import request. So also I want to use this particular module here. So I'm going to say from this module, from first import grid. Grid. So now if you actually want to create your Flask object, so you just need to say app equals to Flask. Then you say underscore underscore name underscore underscore. So now I need to define a function that will be called whenever my route is being called. So I just need to say, let's call it welcome. So whenever it's being called, so what is going to happen is that I'm going to call on the grid, this grid here, which is grid. So it's going to be just grid. So if I actually want to run my Flask app, I just need to say if underscore underscore name underscore underscore equals to then underscore underscore. So there is it. And don't forget, if I actually run only this, I'm coming. If I run only print underscore underscore name, so because I'm actually working in my main modules, so it's going to print out. It's going to print out. So let me just comment all these ones out first. So if I run only this code, it's going to give me underscore underscore me. So that means I'm working in my main module. So if I run by app.py, you can see that it actually give me underscore underscore me. So that's because I'm actually working in my module there. So I just need to say if underscore underscore mean equals to if underscore underscore equals to underscore underscore mean, then we're going to say call on the Flask app, which is app dot one. So if you actually want to get um your error status, you just need to use debug equals to true. So if I run it now, so let me just run it. If I run this code, and I call on the app.py, so nothing is going for now, it won't actually execute like you won't be able to access this yet. So if I want it now, it will just bring out this, and if I try to click on it, so you can see that it actually says that the resources URL was not found. That's because we've not actually map any any response to this particular endpoint that we have here. So how do we do that? So very simple. So I'm going to stop this using Ctrl C. Up here, I'm going to use a decorator and say app.route. App.route. So I'm going to pass in the so this is going to be so for now I won't actually pass in. So this is going to be the where I'm the more like the URL part, and I won't pass anything here for now. So the method that we're going to be using is going to be method we're going to be using equals to get. That is, we just want to get a particular information there. So whenever this particular endpoint is called, it's going to call this grid, and we're going to get what we define here, which is hello. So let's try to run it. So if I run it now, Python app.py, if I run it and I click on this particular link and I go to my stuff, can you see? Can you see hello here? So we have hello here. So now, so that's about that. So what if I want to format it very well? So what if I actually want to format very well? I need to use JSON file. So I'm going to import JSON file. So I just need to say, so this response here, I'm going to say JSON file. So I'm going to say I can actually have a message this. So CS. So if I actually run this code again, and I call up app.py, and if I run it now, and I click on this part, just hold control and press click on this, it's going to give you this. So you can see that we have message, well formatted, message, hello. So can you see that it's actually working fine? So I'm going to disconnect this. So now what if I want to receive name from the user? I want a name to be passed here, which is this. So once the name is passed, I'm going to get f informative string. So it's going to be hello, then that name that is passed here. So how do we actually ensure that a name is passed here? So for that, because we actually wanted to send we want to send an information to this endpoint. So what we're going to do is that we're going to change this method to post rather, to post, post, and once information are sent, we can actually get those information using this request. So we just need to say data equals to request dot dot json json dot get. So what are we getting? So we need, so the users have to send a particular name using this keyword name. And once that name is sent, what we are going to do is that we're going to get that name and pass it inside this particular grid here. So once that name is sent, so what I want to do here is that I'm going to print out the name once it's sent. So you're going to see it down here as well. So let's try to run it. So Python app.py. So if I run it now and I call on this stuff, because it's actually a post request, you won't get stuff. So I will need to go to my I will need to go to my VS Code. I'm sorry, to my Jupyter notebook and try to create just a Python where I'm going to send the request there. So I just need to create more like something here. So let me call it request um, data request. So now the first thing you have to do is that you have to install request. So this request here is quite different from the request you're actually seeing there. So you have to install request. Don't forget this one is having S. So once you install it, you're going to import request. So let's define our data. So it has to have S. Don't forget. So let's define it. So let's call it details. Will be equals to. So you're going to send it in form of a dictionary. So you're going to say name is let's say for instance DG. So if I want it now, it's going to run. So if I actually want to send my request, I just need to say request dot what dot post. So we are sending, so which URL are we sending it to? So we are sending it to this URL here. So I just need to copy this URL and put it here as a string, or for simplicity I can say URL equals to this. So I'll just reference it here, URL. Then what am I saying? So the details, that JSON equals to details. So if I run it now, it's going to return the response, which is 200, and 200 actually means successful. If I actually try to check 200 response, you see that it actually means okay. So I'm going to save it. So I'm going to say call it result equals to this. So if I actually want to get the information there, I just need to say result dot text. So I can use that. If I use dot text now, I'm going to get the information back as a string. So I see that I was able to get it as a string, though you are seeing dictionary, but outside there you can see that it's a string. If I call on the type, you'll see that it's a string. It's a string. But I actually want to, I can get the information as a JSON object. So because it's returning a JSON, so I just read dot JSON. So if I want it now, sorry, I can get it as the JSON. And because I'm getting it as the JSON, I can filter. So I can just say message. So it's going to say hello DG. So that is about that. So you can see that we were able to send information to this point here. So now, how do we use it for? So you can see that the DG is being printed out there. So how do we use it for our model now? So I'm going to stop this particular stop here with Control C. So now the first thing I have to do is that I have to load our model. So I have to come down here and say, so I'm going to, I don't need the grids again. So I need to delete all these grids here. I need to delete all this. I need to delete. I also need to delete this as well. So the first thing I need to do, I need to load the model. So I'm going to say with open a string, so linear underscore model dot pickles. So I'm going to I've actually loaded it as binary. I'm sorry, with binary. So since I've actually loaded it now, so the next thing I need to do is that so data are going to be sent to this particular stuff here. So data are going to be sent. So don't forget. So what we need to do is that data are going to be sent. You're going to have data equals to so we're going to use the request.get to actually extract that sorry request.json dot get. So what are we getting there? We're getting the hour that will be sent there. So once we get it, so we need to load it in the data frame. So we are going to say df equals to pd dot data frame data frame. So I'm going to say so which is hours. Then I'm going to pass it. So it's going to be inside. So because it's going to return something like just a number like this. So I need to pass it in a list. So that hour is going to be passed here. So once passed, so what I just need to do is that I need to make my prediction. I will call the model over there, which is model.predict. What are we predicting? We are predicting the F. So I'm going to save it as prediction. So once I save it as prediction, so the next thing is that I need to return the result. So I'm going to say return JSON file, and because JSON file, and because Flask does not know how to handle, because this is going to return an array as the result. So Flask does not know how to handle it. So I need to convert it to a list. So I'm going to say prediction dot to list. So I'm going to convert it to a list because it can actually handle a list, and that is all what I need to do. So you can see that. So but before that, I need to import pickles because I'm going to use pickles to load it. Also, I need to import pandas. So I'm going to say import pickles. Then I'm going to say import pandas as PD. So that is what I need to import. So let's save it. So if I actually run it now, I'm going to say Python app.py and I run it now. So it's going to run our model. So it might actually take little time to actually run the model there. Okay, so we've seen it now. So let's go to this place. So how do we send? So I'm going to clear all this stuff we have here. So I'm going to have my URL to be equals to this, which is still the same thing. Then I'm going to have the details, which is data I want to send. I'm going to have it as in form of JSON. I'm sorry, dictionary. So which is hour, because we are receiving hour here. Can you see hour? This one does not have S. So let's say someone actually read for 30 hours. So I'm going to load it. I'm going to say request dot post. So what are we sending? So the URL and what is the JSON we're going to send it to equals to the details we actually put there. And if you want it now, okay, I think this has to have S. If I run it, you can see that the response is 200, which is successful. So if I call on results equals to this, and I call on result dot text is going to return a string, but JSON is actually more better. So if I say result.json and I run it now, we're going to have this. And so we can just use index to access it. So we're going to have this. And don't forget that you can also send more than one information. Let's say I want to send series of information there. So let's say I want to send something like I'm having scores like let's say um, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So let's say I want to send this particular information. So what I can just do is that I can easily use loop to do that. I can easily use loop to do that. So it's more like you're sending individual scores. So what I just need to do is that I just need to say uh, for um, info in X. So what do I need to do next? I just need to cap it here, which is details equals to the hour. Sorry, sorry, the hour, and what is going to be the value? The value is going to be info, obviously, and for that, I'm going to say results dot post. So we are making use of the same URL, and the JSON is going to be details. Is going to be details. So we are going to call it results equals to this. Then what we just need to do finally is we just need to say print the info first, the info of the user, number one, then along with the results that you actually got there. So we're going to get the so if you actually run it, it might not be able to process everything, and that's because Flask is not designed to handle so many stuff. So that's why we normally use G-Unicorn for that. So if I run it now, okay, I think there's a mistake. Okay, I need to run this. No, let me just bring it down here to avoid confusion. So if I run it now, oh, this has to have S. Okay, I think there is a typo there. Oh, sorry, I need to get .json rather, .json. Or let me just print out result.json here. So I did a mistake there. This is going to return the status code of 200, and I need to get the JSON, which is results dot JSON. I'm sorry, dot JSON rather. Yeah, dot JSON. So if I run it now, we're going to have series of scores. And don't forget that you can actually format it very well. So let's go to our VS Code and try to format it very well. So what you can just do is that we can put it in form of dictionary and say our prediction of this. So I'll wrap it inside this. And in fact, we can even extract it directly here instead of doing it manually out there. So because I'm using debug equals to true, so if I use Ctrl S, it's going to update my code. So, but if you are going to deploy your code, don't use debug equals to true. So if I run this code now, so let me run it. We're going to get, you can see prediction 10, you can see it. And what we can just do is that we can just try to extract the prediction out of it. Prediction, prediction. Now, so if I run it now, you can see that for 10 hours, 100, 20, 199, 30, 299, and so on like that. So you can even have it up to, let's say, you can even have it S, you can see, let's say, W for W in range of, let's say, 10 to 40. So you can even have it like this. So I'm going to put it in form of list. So on it, you can see that we're going to have so many results down there. So many results down there. So that is about how to use Flask. So once you have, so you can just, so the only thing you just need to do is, so how to deploy the Flask online. For that, you need to create a virtual AMV and save all the dependency there. Then you run the code again just to check, and once it actually runs successfully, you're going to save it in requirement.txt. Then you'll be able to deploy it online. So for now, but you've actually so this the essence of this lecture is just to take you on how to actually create an endpoint for your ML project using Flask, and how to run it on your local machine. So thank you so much for joining. And if you have any question, you can just drop it. Thank you. So I'm going to start.